Hello, wizards, witches, and everyone in between. My name is Emma, and today I will be putting myself on blast. So I am currently in the process of moving. Got about 10,000 boxes in this spare bedroom, and I have already packed up all of my read books. So I thought this would be the perfect time to show you my entire physical TBR because I have already packed up my books that I have read. So I will be taking this big pile of books from the floor, showing you, putting them on these shelves, and then putting them into some boxes. So I have exactly 70 unread books, which is really weird. But let's just jump right on in. So I have The Princess Bride by William Goldman. I have Hunting Prince Dracula by Carrie Maniscalco. I had purchased this and Stalking Jack the Ripper at the same time, and I didn't end up loving Stalking Jack the Ripper, but everyone is saying that I need to keep going with the series, so I am definitely going to keep this and read this in the new year. Then I have The Magician's Assistant by Anne Patchett. Anne Patchett is one of my parents' favorite authors. This is their copy, I believe. Yeah. And I have not read anything by her yet, so I have a bad habit of borrowing books from my parents and then taking literal years to read them. I have Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. I have heard such great things about this book that it's such an amazing middle grade, and if you know me, I love middle grade. You're never too old for middle grade, so I cannot wait to get to this. I've had it for way too long. Next, I have An Anthropologist on Mars by Oliver Sacks. This is a psychology classic. This guy is a psychologist, and he wrote some kind of short stories, I guess, about some of the weirder cases that he's seen. So I need to get to that. Another psychology book is My Lobotomy, a Memoir by Howard Dully. This guy got a lobotomy when he was fairly young against his will, and he wrote a book talking about what it's like to live after having a lobotomy. So that's that. Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I have had this for years, and I should probably unhaul it. I am not interested in this. I'm really picky about YA fantasy, and there's just so many books in this series, so I don't know, that one might be getting unhauled soon. Next, I have Dragon Watch by Brandon Mull, and Brandon Mull is the author of The Beyonders and Fablehaven, two of my favorite middle grade series, and Fablehaven was my shit when I was 9, 10, and he came out with this companion series, Dragon Watch, and this came out almost 2 years ago now. I still haven't read it, and I think there's 3 books in this companion series out now. It's one of those cases of I was so excited for it to come out. I get it right away. I put it on my shelf, and then I never read it. A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. As you can see, I had started it, but got distracted. I think I gave A Court of Thorns and Roses a 4, so I definitely am interested in reading this. I just need the time. It's such a thick boy. I have the last 3 books in the Raven Cycle series. I read The Raven Boys and absolutely loved it, but I am so bad with continuing on with series. But I love The Raven Boys, gave it 5 stars in my top 10 books of 2019, so I obviously will get to these soon. Then I have Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. I think I had watched this movie on Netflix and it was really good, so I got the book. Then I have Limitless by Alan Glynn. I don't remember getting this. I've never seen the movie, so I'm not really sure what it's about. Next, I have Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. I think I've tried to read this before, and I put it down, and I don't remember why. I just want to have read it. It's one of those ones that's referenced so many times that I just need to get to it. Another Anne Patchett, Bel Canto. Another one I stole from my parents and still have not read. Then I have the Chaos Walking trilogy by Patrick Ness, and I got these 3 for a great deal at a used bookstore. Someone gave up their entire paperback trilogy, which you know me, I love a good paperback, and they all match. They're so pretty. I've had them for a year and a half and haven't read them yet. If you've read these, let me know if they're any good. I haven't really heard people talk about them much. but I read When a Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, and I really liked it. I have One Day by David Nichols, which I have no memory of, and this might not be my book. I have Brooklyn. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that author's name. My grandma saw this movie and loved it, and so I said I'd read the book and then watch it. Haven't done that yet, clearly. Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. I think Kurt Vonnegut's pretty polarizing. His writing style's so different, but I read Slaughterhouse-Five and really liked it, so I borrowed this one from my dad. I have The Help by Catherine Stockett, another that has been on my radar for years and never actually read. I've never seen the movie either, so I want to read this first. I won On the Road by Jack Kerouac from a Goodreads contest, I think 2 years ago, and still here. Into the Wild by John Krakauer. This is my most recent book that I got. I got it for 10 cents at my library, which is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. This cover has like the little raindrops on it are like raised. It feels so nice. But I mean, I'm always looking for a good thriller. I feel like I'm not super picky with thrillers. You know, if it's like a 3, if it's just a decent thriller, I still had fun with it. Adrift by Stephen Callahan, 76 Days Lost at Sea. I am obsessed with like anything naturey, survival-y, especially like true stories. So that's exactly what this is. So this book is along the same lines as that, The Last Season by Eric Blem, and this guy writes about this other guy whose job it was to find people who were lost in the High Sierras, and then the guy got lost in the High Sierras. So, sounds right up my alley. I have Geek Love by Catherine Dunn, another book I have no memory of ever owning. Evil Under the Sun by Agatha Christie. It's hard to go wrong with Agatha Christie, so whenever I see these like editions of it somewhere, I usually pick up one. I have World War Z by Max Brooks. Another one I think I borrowed from my dad and have not read yet, but I love a good zombie story. Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I bought this before the show aired because I was going to read it first, and I didn't. I watched the show instead, but I still really want to read this and other things by Leanne Moriarty because I really think I'm going to like her. My hair's like swirling this way. Anyway, Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry by Mildred D. Taylor. It says Teacher's Edition because my dad taught this in 8th grade. But yeah, a middle grade classic that I haven't read. Okay, don't come for me. The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I purchased this, I think the year it came out, which was now a very long time ago, and I recommended and let all of my family and friends borrow and read it, and they all loved it, and I'm sitting here like a clown because I still haven't read it myself. And the thing is too, is I know I will love it, so I don't know. The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. I started this, I think in October, and I didn't DNF it because I didn't dislike it, but I just kind of wasn't feeling it, so here we are. Killing Kate by Alex Lake, which is part of like this serial killer kind of companion series that she has, and I read after Anna, which I really enjoyed. So I have Pebble in the Dark and Pebble in the Dark, The Trauma by Anthony Botting. These are 2 that were sent to me by the author for review, so I really need to get to that because I've been awful about that. I also have Diary of a Witch's Son and Your Body is My Prison by Oksana Leslie. Same thing. Next, I have the box set of the Shades of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab. Got this for my birthday, so I guess it's only been 8 months. It's not that bad, but I need to read these. Specimen Days by Michael Cunningham. Michael Cunningham wrote my favorite book, The Hours, and I read one other book by him and didn't love it. Like, I don't know why I said that. I actually hated it. So I thought I'd give him one more try, but it might just be a case of like, he wrote my favorite book, but I don't like anything else by him. 2 more middle grade classics. We have Hatchet and The River by Gary Paulson. Again, naturey middle grade. Why haven't I read these yet? I have no idea. I really need to get to that because I know that I will love them. Why do I do this to myself? Speaker for the Dead by Orson Scott Card. I have no memory of this either. Then I have Half Broke Horses by Jeanette Walls, which right after purchasing I heard a bunch of negative things about, Everyone just says it's nowhere near as good as The Glass Castle, but I might audiobook it or something. Then we have Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I read the Grisha trilogy earlier this year, I think in the summer, and I just kind of wanted to take a break from Leigh Bardugo, but then I read Ninth House, which I didn't like, so now I want to take another break from Leigh Bardugo, but I will get to these, because I'm very certain that I will enjoy them. Invisible Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk. I read Fight Club and really enjoyed it, so I wanted to read something else by him. These were book outlet purchases, I think. I have Red Queen, Glass Sword, and the novella Cruel Crown by Victoria Aveyard, which is part of the Red Queen series. And I've heard this series goes downhill as the books progress. Classic. I'm just really intrigued by this series, so I'm gonna give it a go. This is also another fairly recent one I picked up, Joyland by Stephen King. You know I've been on that Stephen King kick recently. Then I have Catch-22 by Joseph Heller, which was a classic that I wanted to read, but then I let my dad borrow it and he DNF'd it, which is rare for him. So I don't know if I'm gonna end up reading it. I have The Good Girl by Mary Kubica. I think this is a thriller. Again, I don't really have a memory of buying that. Okay, here's another one like The Book Thief. All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I tried to listen to the audiobook of this, I think in 2013 or 14, and it shifted perspectives too much, so I was like, I'm gonna get a physical copy and physically read it. And 5 years later, here we are. Love, Anthony by Lisa Genova. I've talked about Lisa Genova a couple times, but she writes fictional books, but with a main character who has some sort of disability or illness or mental illness. She's a psychologist, and so this one is about autism. Another recent one I bought is Ashes in the Snow by Ruta Sepetys. Apparently this is Between Shades of Grey, but the movie called it Ashes in the Snow, and so this book called it Ashes in the Snow, which is annoying. Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. Love Neil Gaiman. This book is kind of an inside joke between me and my friend Addie, who I'm hoping to have on this channel at some point. Sauvé by Celia Rees. She read this in middle school and hated it and gave it to me. So now I have it and I haven't read it, but sometime I want to read it just to say that I did. It's one of those weird inside jokes, you know. Then I have Hollow City and Library of Souls by Ransom Riggs from the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. I have only read the first book and I didn't love it, but I liked it. And I remember I had found these super cheap. They're old library copies. And I think this series is done now. So if I like these two, I'll probably just finish out the series. Next I have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Wow, that's very shiny. Which is another book outlet buy. But since then, I don't know. Because I've heard the writing's very lyrical and flowery, and I don't think that's my jam. And just the things people say that they love about it, I kind of feel like I'm not gonna like. So we'll see. Then I have The Memory Palace by Mira Bartok, which is one I borrowed from my mom. I think I started it 5 years ago. But it's just a memoir of her growing up with a mentally ill mother. Then I have Just for Clicks by Kara McDowell, which is one that I won from a book giveaway on YouTube, I think, from Allison Aldridge, which is how I met her. Still haven't read it yet, but I think this is gonna be a springtime read. Contemporaries are the best in spring. Then I have The Host by Stephenie Meyer. I got this right when I finished Twilight, so quite a long time ago, and I still have not read it yet. But I've heard good things. And I also have The Chemist by Stephenie Meyer, which I've also heard good things. This one intrigues me more, I think, but I really need to get to it because this is in perfect condition. And last but not least is The Witching Hour by Anne Rice, which is another thick boy. I have read The Vampire Lestat and a couple other from that series by her, but I have not read anything else. And my mom, this is my mom's copy. My mom absolutely loved this book. I'm not sure what exactly it's about, but I'm sure it's spooky. and I'm gonna get to it one of these days because I've literally had it on my shelves for like at least 5 years. All right, that is my entire physical TBR. I need to go put these in boxes now, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please let me know if you have read and loved any of these because I will put them higher on my priority list. My goal for 2020 is to hopefully read all of these, if not the majority of them. I really want to make a dent in my unread books that I own, so wish me luck. I hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you next time. Bye!